Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's Saturday, August 21st of 2021. It's almost 11 a.m. in the morning. I just woke up about, well, I guess now it's been 45 minutes, I think. I called a nap because and I don't sleep like 8 hours. I don't sleep, I just, it's just, old age is terrible. And I've talked about that in some videos, because YouTube shows the demographics of who your viewers are, and I have almost zero women watching, and I have I forget what it's young men, I don't know, 15 to 30 or something like that. That's my demographic. So I've preached a few times about taking care of your health and doing things differently than what I did, and things like that. Uh, so anyway, actually, health. This is off the subject. I had one subject for this video, and it's going to be coming up. But let me just say that uh, I worked all my life, never without a job, and a lot of times I had two jobs. And in my early life, some of the jobs, I was, a welder, a boilermaker, all types of jobs. And then the last 30 years of my life or whatever, I was working hospital security and other jobs from time to time, at the same time. And doing those jobs, I always did my job. I was out, foot patrol or whatever. Even if I was driving a patrol car or whatever. That's another thing. I was a reserve police officer for I think about 10 years or more, and every night, or not every night, Sunday night was my night patrol. Because when I started out there, this little town had no police officers except for reserve police officers, and there happened to be 7 of us. I don't think it was planned that way, but so I did for years Sunday night, and I never missed a night. And I went out, I drove from my house in blizzards over to, Raymore, Missouri. And then I'd be the only one, I would unlock the garage and take out the patrol car and patrol out in the blizzard. So anyway, I'm just trying to say I always, did my job, and I always, and a lot of times people didn't. I'm not talking about the reserve officer, but mainly usually if you're a welder, building, trucks, giant trucks, railroad cars, that kind of stuff. I mean, you're not going someplace and sleeping, and now if you're working as a security officer someplace, you could, get away with doing that, probably. And I've seen police officers, that I would be patrolling someplace and pulling in. A police officer had pulled his patrol car into where there was only one road, path or, driveway going into it. His car would be sitting back there at, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And he would have the radar thing kicked on, so when I drove in, then the radar would beep and, wake him up or whatever it was. But I always did my job. Now, I usually worked the midnight shift, so that makes it difficult to do your job a lot of times. But then I took steps. I guess this is going to be maybe I make a new video. After a while, I learned. I even worked like as a welder at Dart Truck Company on the midnight shift, and I would be, I'd be welding and I'd fall asleep. I'd fall asleep welding, but I wasn't trying to. And it took me a few years before I realized, which is not good for a marriage or not good for any type of a social relationship or whatever. But what I started doing was, when I was working midnight shift, which I was most of my life, one, to get away from management and supervisors, and the other, crap, but, and then, working midnights paid a little bit more money, but not worth it, so far as, for your health and for your social life and all that type of stuff. But what I eventually learned was, and that's what I did, so working the midnight shift, when I would come home in the morning, I would, go to bed immediately. And some people who work midnight shift would do, some would come home, but then they would stay up a while. And I felt sorry for a lot of people, especially a lot of females, who had kids to get off to school. But I came home, I went to bed, and then I slept my regular, 8 hours. And well, when I was working like a 12-hour shift, I'd come home, go to bed, and when I woke up, it was time to take a shower and get ready and go in for the 12-hour shift or whatever. But what I did then, when my days off came, I would go to bed in the morning. I would stay up all night long on my days off through the midnight shift. Nothing to go on. I mean, there was nothing to do. You don't have very many friends you can, call or go do something with. And like for one entire year that I worked at one hospital, Lee Summit Hospital, I would, on my days off, I would go to the casino. And so I was going to the casino, I think, like three times a week for, I forget exactly what the shift was. 3 times a week, I would be, when I wasn't working, I'd be going to the casino and be there all night long. And I would come home, at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. from the casino, and I would go to bed and sleep. I kept the same. So when I went into work, other employees, nurses and everybody else were like maybe nodding off or doing everything they could to, stay awake. And I was, so the point I was, I think, getting at, one, about that, and the other thing was, I thought that I was, one of the welding jobs I had, one of the guys started it, and the other people picked it up. Gave me the nickname of Hercules. Now, if you get the name of Hercules, that does not mean that you're built like Arnold Schwarzenegger or somebody like that. That means that, well, you were like me, skinny, and if they needed somebody to pound a piece of steel, something, somebody had welded on the wrong side in the wrong way, and the heat would make it, and then they'd have a couple guys, they'd have a guy there with a torch, a acetylene torch, keeping the steel hot, while the other guy beat it. They didn't call on me to do that. they found some welding job, over there, but with all that, um, and just a few years ago, uh, when I would have to started having some problems, and I'd see, a doctor, or get a, they'd say, okay, we have to, okay, have you had any operations? No. And it'd be like, you haven't had any operations? Well, no. Then it would be like, I said, well, I had my tonsils taken out when I was, a kid. That doesn't count. You don't have anything else? No. And they go through a list and they know. I thought that because I was walking all the time. Even when I used a patrol car, I'm talking about security, and there would be the place I worked, a large hospital, medical facility, and there'd be somebody else in a patrol car, and there'd be somebody in a Cushman scooter or something like that covering a garage or something. Even when I was had the car, well, like summertime, I would have the air conditioning, well, the air conditioning would be on, but I'd have the window down, and so I could hear if glass was breaking or somebody was calling for help or gunshots were fired, and I just did. And then also I would be using a patrol car, and I would park the patrol car, make my rounds with the patrol car, park the car someplace, get out, and then walk maybe through a small parking lot or part of a garage or do something. And the other patrol officer might pull up. Jim, did you lock yourself out of the car? Because that happened occasionally. You'd jump out of the car for some reason and you locked yourself out. You had to call the other. I said, nope, and they couldn't, they really couldn't comprehend, why would I get out of the patrol car and be walking through this area rather than driving through, and I was being systematically unsystematic, But, so I didn't just sit on my ass, and, but then of course at a certain age, starting about 65, or was it 62? I think I took early retirement, but I kept working, of course, the jobs. But at about 65, I had no medical history really. And I thought by the walking, and everything that I did, I thought, okay, I'm not working out, I don't have much body, strength. But I never, of course, partially that was lucky. I never lost a fight with somebody that, was being restrained, or that I was having to restrain, or, fight. Now, part of that was luck. Now, some of the people I had to restrain or fight with and take into custody and put handcuffs on. A few times, all the other security officers were there or close by, or we knew something was going to happen. A lot of times they were like on drugs, but they were on drugs, so much that I and maybe one other officer would show up, were able to restrain them. It'd be a big guy, and I'd be thinking, oh my God, then he'd be so on drugs or so drunk that he, whatever. But so I never thought I was, a muscle man or anything like that. I worked with a few of those guys that, oh my God, but but then all of a sudden, bang, I realized, no, and I've talked about that, you do need to do, cardio or whatever it is to don't think that just, walking. People tell you, hey, walk, People tell me that now. I can barely walk over to the trash can. I can, so anyway, all the medical problems caught up with me late in life, which is, I guess that's better than having them, But I never lost a encounter with somebody. But I was lucky a lot of times. They were so drunk or they were on drugs. And, but this wasn't what I'm going to talk about. So when this video is ended, I will upload it and talk about what I've got my monitor here. When I got, I don't make notes. I should, and I know that. But what I do is mark tabs or whatever. So, so then I can look there and remember, and that's what I'm going to, those are not the subjects I was going to talk about now. Now this one is Google Fi and some other things. Oh, you're not seeing that. I'm sorry. This is something I'm going to talk about a little bit in a video, but not this one. And this is something else I want. Wow, the information from this is mind-boggling. But I'm going to be talking about Google Fi. But that's not what this one's turned out to be about. I got sidetracked. Usually I just go ahead and post a video with me rambling about something, and a lot of times you people probably wonder, what in the hell? Or sometimes you can see I start talking about something, and then it's like, and I do apologize for that. And if you don't like my videos, I perfectly, I can understand that. The video should be better organized on subject. And like I think I have over 1,000 videos there, I believe. And they should be, because if you were to ask me, or say, you should make a video on such and such, I may have made one 2 weeks ago on that subject, and I will not remember, I won't remember it, and probably it was made about something else, and I just got sidetracked in there, and you wouldn't know it by reading the, the title or tags or anything else. So I totally understand if you don't like my videos. I'm not gonna say, oh, you're making a big mistake, or you just don't know anything, or even I'm not going to be saying I already made a video on that, because it might be an hour video that I made, and maybe I talked for 25 minutes on that subject, but it was, that wasn't in the title and whatever. Google has something, by the way, let's check. I know it's not going to do any good, but Google has a thing now, chapters or something, where you can, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but because I haven't messed with it, and I definitely need to mess with it, and that is, I guess when you see the video and listed underneath it would be, and you probably don't have to call it chapters, you could just say whatever the subject. But let's see, what did I want to do? Okay. And that's one thing, which is maybe they, see, where do I want to go? Okay, yes, here, I'm going to go here. That's something that could definitely help me and help you all. I know this isn't going to do any good, but I just want to, let's see, go to monetization. and go over here to super. Okay, I don't have access to super thanks yet. I did a video though on super thanks, I believe. And that's something that's coming. It's actually out, and you can see it. The video that I made, and I do think it's properly labeled. You can see how it's on some people's sites. And what it is, it lets somebody, I forget what it says now, but it's underneath. It'll be underneath the person's video, next, down by subscribe or unsubscribe or whatever, and it will allow you to donate money, and just by clicking on that, you'll have you can decide how much you want to donate, and it looks pretty. Looks pretty neat. The only problem I see is 60% of the money, I believe it is, or is it 70%, goes to the YouTuber, and the rest goes to, YouTube or Google. And I think that's way too much. I think that's way out of, it ought to be 90% goes to, the YouTuber and 10%. And even I think that's a little too generous because, for Google. And in fact, of course, well, it's hard to ask anybody, But anyway, and I think that will probably turn off a few people when they realize, that hey, like they're watching, say, one of my videos, and let's see, go to, where do I want to go? Go to YouTube, and let's say that you're watching one of my videos. I don't have a Patreon thing set up. What else? I don't. But say you're watching one of my videos, and let's say you're interested in Windows 11. Maybe you install the, Windows 11 early. Maybe you're watching my video, or maybe it's about a product, a camera. Where's my video here? This, 1080p. I had it set for 1080p 30. So I've set this one. I'm using Manicam. And this is oh, by the way, so the last video was 1080 on YouTube. Okay, I turned the audio off on that, but this is a video from August. Let's say that you're watching this video, the video on this $170, USB camera. Say you're watching it and you think, wow, Jim on this one did he did a good job, and he told me just exactly what I was wondering about, whether it, works with Windows 11, which it does, or something, and then so you think, oh, and then you have a thing there that says thanks or whatever it says, then maybe somebody will, click on that, like tip Jim $5 or something, Good. My eyes are, when I wake up whenever I wake up, it takes a while but I just had my, I didn't have it done for 6 years, but had my eyes tested and the glaucoma test and that type of stuff. I have type 2 diabetes. But anyway, I think this super thanks, or whatever it's called, I think there might be a lot of people that will be watching a video who, there's the camera. That's the one. that's the, yeah, that's it over there that you're seeing it from now. I think a lot of people might use, like I said, I've never signed up for, but for something like that with its right, now they have something like that now for live streaming, when you do live streaming. And I've done live streaming a few times, and I was doing live streaming before there was YouTube or Google or any of them, I was doing live streaming so early that I had to live stream actually from my computer. So if there was like 10 people watching, it got where my computer, and this is, where the things would just slow down so much that, But, got sidetracked again. But, so anyway, I I hope they kicked it out pretty quick, the super thanks. Now, I did live streaming in the past. That was what I was going to say also. When I was doing, live streaming, people came to my site, and I guess I ought to go to real audio here. And people went to my site, and they were saying, they'd pop into the chat, this is not live, live video. I know, type, yes, oh yes it is. No, it's not. They had never seen a real person doing that. At the most, if they had been checking everything on the internet, is they would see that there was one camera someplace in a building that was aimed at a coffee pot where employees could, and there was another camera where it was aimed at a vending machine, and that was it. So when people found me, they'd say, well, hold up 3 fingers, and then they'd probably ask another question or something, and they'd say, oh my God, I've never seen it, So that's how long I've been doing this. You're not seeing that keyboard that is being shown now in that same video. That's the deck keyboard. I really like that, except my only problem with it, I just looked it up the other day and tried again to use it, because I had some lighting, but it's built like you could use it as a weapon to hit somebody, but it's not, the keyboard is not lit, and I just have to, and I know touch typing. I talked about that before in a video. When I went to high school, I was with the dumb group, so I had to take typing and accounting and stuff like that. And then the other classes, they were taking, well, they were beyond algebra, because we took basic algebra. They were taking trigonometry and I don't know what all and stuff, They were taking Greek and Latin, and we were taking bookkeeping and basic math and that kind of stuff. It was a Catholic high school, and started in 1955. So from grade school, you'd go there and you'd take the test to see if they were going to let you in. And then you got a letter telling you, where you stood in the thing and whether they would accept you. And so it was like that was your one chance, though. But of course, I don't know of anybody that was ever changed, because there was about 100 at a time from each, like freshman, junior, and so I went and took the test, and I wasn't, I tried my best, but I wasn't, you know, concerned about it. I really wish actually I hadn't. It was all male. It was Catholic, all male, and military. Of course, I went because of the military, and we were military all the time. We were always in the military uniform and had military every day. And Friday was half a day military also, in dress uniform and stuff. But I wish I had. I wish I'd ended up at a co-ed, school. But of course, I thought I was going to make it in the Army, but they wouldn't take me. But anyway, so there were like 4 classes, 4 homeroom, like for freshmen, whatever, junior, senior. There was, 4. So there was 2 classes. Well, there was 4 groups, 4 homeroom classes. 2 of them were the kids that did well, probably the kids that were smart, and and then there was 2, and I was in one of those. There was 2 classes of the kids we were the dumb ones. I mean, they never said that or anything like that, but I mean. It was obvious that because of the subject matter, and like when they would have a Jesuit priest or a brother or something come from an order, and would hit all the, schools. And now some of them did come and talk to all 4 of the classes, but there were some of those that came probably. I don't remember a Jesuit ever coming in our dumb, but. There were some that hit all 4, and then there was some that they just went to the ones where they actually wanted to recruit somebody, for the priesthood or whatever it was. And then there was 2, like in the senior year of school. Like our school, we didn't have a school bus, We were, and we didn't take, like we were in the Veterans Day Parade every year. We marched, from our high school to downtown Kansas City, and then we marched in the Veterans Day Parade to the World War I, monument there. And then we would march back to the school. There's an exception to that, and I'm not going to bother to tell you the story again if you happen to run across it, But, anyway, for our senior year of school, each one of the classes went to a business, and the 2 classrooms they went to like Bendix, or I forget what the other, they were like. It'd be like Amazon, or except back then they didn't, have Amazon or anything like that. It was high tech, well-paying jobs, and that's where these, the 2 classes of the smart kids, that's where they went, and then the 2 classes of the dumb. I forget where the other class went of the dumb kids, but we were taken to a laundromat, a cleaner's laundromat, that. Did the laundry and cleaning for people, and so they could show us like, okay, here's where you're going to be, you can be working right at this place, So not good for your self-esteem. Or 2, they had some tests that were. I talked about one, a national scholarship test. I've asked several times, do they still do that in the junior year? No, but I don't. Well, that explains too. That's going to be kind of sexist when I say I talked about my demographics here, and it's like males, and zero, almost zero female. Well, it is zero, not enough to even register. I do know there are some women that watch, but so, testing. So there was some other test that was given. Maybe that was because the National Scholarship Exam was given to all juniors in the United States on the same day. And that was interesting. And then there was this other test, maybe given in the senior year. And it came back, and they passed it out in class or whatever after we took the test, and when they got the results back, sort of computerized, it came back, and then it told you, from the testing, these are the careers that you could, look forward to. And I don't know exactly what the two classes of the smart kids. I don't know exactly. I mean, I heard, sort of heard, but I don't remember now. But it would have been like, okay, you can be a doctor, a lawyer, you can be a Wall Street, Wall Street. You can be, I forget what, that type of thing. And the thing that I got, and that the other people, okay, you can be a switchboard operator. You can be, I don't think it said you could work at a laundromat, but none of those jobs were any that So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I belonged in the dumb class. I mean, actually, like when I don't think I've ever been given actually a real aptitude test, what do they call it? But online, I when I was doing I don't think it was in the videos, but when I was doing a WordPress, thing, and people were coming, sometimes 1,000 a day, sometimes 2,000 a day, sometimes 40 a day, or whatever, depending on how well the thing was indexed by Google and other stuff. And that's when online you could take a GED test, no, whatever it was, and it gave you an IQ test. I'd never taken one. And so I took the thing, and the score came back slightly above average, Nothing's, and I put the number, or whatever. I think a bunch of people were surprised that I would, put the number, but then other people came back, a whole bunch of people who were regulars to my thing, and their numbers were, much higher, So, but I have figured out that those tests don't really, because I had aptitude or abilities that somehow were in me that I guess don't get measured or something. Maybe they probably have tests, maybe a different kind of test that, as an example, just as one example, that I'm going to end this. Like I worked at a hospital, a big major hospital, working security, and there was 25 security officers or more, I think. And things came up, and all of these other security officers were like, oh well, the company, the hospital, or the security department So they would, say, okay, this is the way it is. And then I'd be like, no, that's not the way. I remember one time I was in dispatch and had all the cameras were there, and we switched every 2 hours. Thank God, I hated that. Had so I had all the cameras all over the hospital and outside in the parking lot. I was in dispatch, which was also right out, which I objected to, right there at the emergency room door. I thought if you're going to have a dispatch, have it someplace where it's not, where you're not having to answer the phone and give directions and do all this, have it by the director of security who thought he was smarter than everybody else. Put it there, dispatch there. But anyway, so I was there, and then I'm looking at the cameras, and down in the auditorium, I didn't know there was an event in the auditorium. Employees are going in there and they're being talked to, and then they're been giving a piece of paper or whatever. So I told the security, one of the security officer who was roaming, I said, what's going on down there? He said, I don't know. I said, why don't you go out and find out? I said, do me a favor, go down and find out what it's about and bring up whatever they're handing to, the employees. And so he went down, he came back, and then he gave it to me. And it said that effective such and such a date, that all employees, that they own more than one hospital, all employees, the supervisor, can tell you to, instead of reporting at this hospital, to report to another one of our hospitals, or they can tell you to go out to, you'll be, if you're an ICU nurse, they'll say, okay, you can go out to research. We need you at Research Belton Hospital, or if you're a lab tech, we need you at Lee Summit Hospital to fill in for, whatever. I forget it was like, and the tone of all the things they did, because they thought that they were this hospital and this type of management that they had. And it said, this is, you have to do this, and if you refuse, you will be terminated and blah, blah, or I forget if it said, first step will be this, and then you'll be terminated or whatever. And so the other security officers, they'd figured out, they'd come, they were all listening, reading this, And then I said, well, this is not going to work. And the other security, what do you mean? I said, they can't do that. They can too. They're, I forget what they said, they're management, administration. And I said, no, it won't work. And I explained. I said, it will not work, and here's the reason. The employees are going to say, I don't have transportation. And I said, and of course the hospital will say, well, we'll arrange for transportation, which will be, they'll pay for a cab or have security, drive them to the other, I said, and that won't work. And I went through everything, and every one of the guys, every one of the security officers, well, they'll have to. And I said, no, they won't. And I went through the thing and I said, that, they won't be able to do it. And then, and I said, but they're going to come back, the hospital will come back and say, okay, well, this won't work. But I said, at first they're going to come back and say, well, we'll provide you with transportation. And then they'll come with something else. And then I said, that's not going to work. And then I said, the employees, I said, it'll be like a lab tech at I'd worked at one of our hospitals, that they built, Research Belton. I said, the lab tech out there will say, I'm not familiar with the facilities and their, and whatever. I need to be orientated, And I said, and then of course they're going to say, okay, well, yeah, okay, well, we'll give you orientation out there, and then they're going to give them. And I said, maybe for the lab tech, maybe an orientation of a couple, 2 or 3 days. I said, I doubt they would do that, But they'll say, okay, you have your orientation. But I said, like the nurse, the RN, ICU RN, is going to say, I need orientation. I don't know where they keep this. I don't know where they keep that, or whatever. And I said, they're going to tell them, okay, well, we'll send you out there for a day. And the nurse is going to say, no, that's not enough. I need 2 weeks or something, orientated, and of course. And I said, that won't work. And then sure enough, a short time later, they put out a new thing. Okay, employees will provide transportation, cab fare, whatever, and you'll get orientation. And then the guys were like, well, and I said, well, that's not going to work. And then I explained, what the lab tech would say, what the what the RM would say, and everything. And the guy said, this is, and it says right here, you have to do it or you will be terminated or whatever. And I said, not going to happen. And then eventually the hospital had another meeting, and well, I don't think they had a meeting, they just passed out, a thing saying, okay, well, all the current employees that have been hired in at all these facilities, you do not have to work at another facility, but all new employees who agree to come to work for us, you will have to sign in. And it was just, anyway, I realized that I had I never thought I could, actually sell anything. And then I ended up in my lifetime actually doing it. And then I thought that I, really couldn't talk in front of a group, because like when I was in high school, if I'd go into from my high school, I'd go in and it'd be like, now I didn't have that in grade school because it was like, I guess they were my friends or something, But when I got to high school, it was like, I'd go to class and just be sitting there, please don't let the brother ask me a question of any kind. And if I got asked a question or something, I'd be red in the face. Or if the brother came in and said, who did such and such, my face would get red, for some reason. But then I found out that if I knew a subject later on, I found out that I was able to sell stuff. I actually did. I had a lot of years of doing a lot of different things. I one time answered an ad for a photographer. I wasn't trained I was always interested in photography, but I was looking through and I thought, oh, I think I'll go. It was a car wash company, and they had several car washes that this company owned. Where you'd drive your car in and you could drive through the thing, or you could get the thing and spray your car. And I don't know how many of those they had, 3, 4, I'm not sure. And they also, the company, if you had your own car wash or whatever, they would sell you the supplies that you needed, the chemicals that went in the water, the soap or whatever, I don't know. And they had guys who would repair your, car wash facility, even if you weren't one of theirs. So anyway, but all the thing said was they were looking for a photographer. So I went in, and I don't know if The Godfather had come out. Can't remember the date. I could look it up and see or something. But it must have, because I went in and this is in Kansas City, Missouri. And I looked at these guys, smoking their cigars with their suits on, and I'm not sure if they were drinking vino or vino. I don't know. I don't drink, but I'm looking at these guys and I'm thinking, these guys are the mafia, And so this guy says, well, not sure why we put that ad in there for a photographer, because what we have is we have a whole bunch of trailers that are mobile portrait studios. We've got them. We've got all the supplies for them. But what we need is them to be booked into places where people, shopping centers or places like that. And I said, oh, okay, well, how does that work? And so, they explained it to me. And they didn't have any of these mobile portrait studios, Oh, the pictures, by the way, were like, black and white. And let's see, they were big, like this. The pictures were. That was like and then in that trailer, you took the people's picture, and then you put it in the developer, and then you took it out, and then you put matting around it, and then you slid it, and you slid it into a frame on the wall, and you told the people, okay, there's your picture, and then people would say, oh, okay, I'll take that. Okay, now the matting is extra. Do you want this matting around it? Some people would say, well, yeah, because I think it was a couple bucks. Okay, now we have these frames, and some people would, you'd end up walking out of there. But when so anyway, they told me how it worked. And I said, I'm going to go out and sign up some, and at that point, that was my point in my life where I didn't think I could sell anything or, whatever, but I said, I'll be back. And I said, okay. So I left. I went to a little shopping center, and went to the first shop or whatever, and we all have to agree. And I was like, well, it sounds like a good idea to you, doesn't it? Because, we'll put a thing with a stand at the door to your business with your picture if you want it, We'll take your picture, you'll get it for free, you get the matting for free. And put it there, and there'll be a pamphlet there with a thing on the thing. If the people walk in and it has your thing, you get, I forget. But anyway, they'd say, well, everybody has to agree. And I said, well, you'll agree though, won't you? Yeah. So then I go, somebody else there, and well, so-and-so's already, he wants it. Oh, he wants it? Well, yeah, I want to do it, And then I had everybody. Then I went to another. Then I started. Okay, I got that taken care of, and then I go to another shopping center or something or other, and do the same thing, in the same way. So then I went back to the mafia outpost, and I walked in. I said, okay, you need to move, need to have the trailer. I said, how do you get the trailer? Well, we have a truck, we'll haul it out there. We can either run it off our generators, or if they can plug in, and I said, okay. And I said, I also got this one, so put 2 trailers in, okay. Then the guys say, well, we don't have anybody to do the, so, we have to hire them. Can you do that? Okay, So I went out, and, then I just told them where to pull the trailer, then I trained the people, I don't remember them showing me how to do it, but I guess I figured it out. And hooked them up. One of the places I put the trailer in Raytown, because I guess it was in Raytown, and I think that must have been a different mafia group, because I got a call from the police or whatever. Somebody put a pipe bomb on the door of the trailer, and But so also then when I hired these people, I hired a husband and wife, young husband and wife for the one trailer, and then I went, I'd go by and check to see, do you need any supplies, that type of stuff. And I went by and I said, have you been paid yet? No. And I said, well, okay. And then I just took, they gave me the money that they'd taken. I said, okay, here's your, and then I made a little thing out of it. I'm not sure I even had him sign, Then I went to turned the money in and said, I took the money out for these, and they were like, oh, okay. And anyway, I liked doing that. And then I learned, hey, I can actually do it if I know what I'm, and I can talk if I have to, and that kind of stuff. Eventually, the Internal Revenue Service seized everything because they hadn't been paying whatever kind of tax it was, withholding tax or whatever. So everything all got taken. over. Then I got a call right after that from Chicago. I'm not kidding, from Chicago. And somebody with, sounds like an Italian accent or something. A paisano. I'm kidding, you know. But anyway, you'll have these trailer, you know. We have these trailers now here, there, you know, whatever. Can you come? We pay for you to come to, you know. I sound like Chinese on it, you know. To we'll pay you, you know, to come here and give you, you know, a hotel room, and you set these things up, show us how to, you know, mix it, do whatever, you know, and everything. And then my wife was, you know, listening and everything. And, you know, I said, no, and my wife was like, no, you know, she was like, I think she was trying to get me killed. I said, no, I'm not going to Chicago. That was my end of that thing. But anyway, well, I won't give you a teaser. I'll just, you'll just see the video coming up. This is not the video I intended to make, but is there something I want to ask you? Oh. Well, you might comment down below. What do you think of that super thanks thing or whatever? I mean, it shouldn't bother you. I think that when the people realize that, and I think it's 70%, that 70% goes to the person, and the other 30% goes to, I think there are people who are going to say, you know, of course, maybe if it's $5 or $10 or something, maybe. But I think if it was a larger amount of money, I think a lot of people would say, no, that's, you know, because I think it's too much going to, you know, too much going to Google. But I really like the idea, because if that would be, I think the reason I kind of like it is, if somebody, like, for the internet and all this kind of stuff, I'm doing a lot less than I used to. But, you know, I would always donate and do stuff like that, you know, within my limits. And so, and I think that would be, that'd be pretty nice, especially like for somebody like myself who makes the kind of videos that I do. And if somebody, if by that being underneath the video thing there, if somebody would click on and do $5 or $10, that's not much money. But of course, if you're watching YouTube videos, you know, and you can't be clicking on, you know that would add up to. But anyway, but I think that would be kind of nice, because, you know, somebody liked this, you know, certain video enough that they donated money. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.